Hello everyone, welcome back. Alright, so for those of you who don't know, because I have a feeling I'm getting some new people from this, my name is Kyle. I make reactions to movies and TV shows. I have been mentioning this pretty much since I started my channel, that I am a huge fan of Stargate. Huge fan. I don't know, I just love the show so much that I thought I wanted to make a reaction to it. You know, actually, like, one of the first things that made me want to make a reaction channel was the fact that I watch reaction channels, and one of the channels that I actually watch happens to react to Stargate. That's a first time reaction, and I always kind of thought to myself, well, I can't make, can I, like, a re-reaction? And then I started doing it with other different things. Movies, as you might recall. Some of my movies are re-reactions. The first one I actually did was Titanic, because I also loved that one so much, and I was like, I like sharing these reactions with you guys, regardless of whether or not I've seen something, because, I don't know, I actually think that there might be some benefit to giving a re-reaction commentary, I think would be a better word for it, video on Stargate than a first-time reaction, because there's a lot of stuff you miss the first time around, like a lot. And I've been around the block for Stargate and Stargate Atlantis and Stargate Universe multiple times. I actually just got done rewatching Stargate Atlantis just a couple of months ago. There are a lot of things that you pick up on, and I want to go through those with you. If you like, go ahead and give it a like. If you want to see more, let me know down in the comments. This is a big deviation from my channel, so let me know if you like this and want me to make more of it. Full version is in the description. Can I tell you how much I lost my absolute shit when I first saw this? Because I was one of the people who went from Stargate to Stargate Atlantis. But when Stargate Atlantis came out, it was only in the first season. So I had bought the first season DVD set. And, after 8 long seasons of build-up from SG1, this series was like... Dr. Weir. I'm gonna catch some heat for this, but Weir was my favorite SGA character.
Carson, get back here. I can sit in that chair all bloody day long and nothing will happen. It's a waste of time. Excuse me, Dr. Weir.
We could always test you a third time, Rodney.
That's pretty funny.
This chair controls the most powerful weapons known to humankind.
I'm afraid of the thing.
Oh, clearly I am overcome with envy.
Ah, just the people I need to see.
And follow me.
Come with me.
Yep. I want to say that Dr. Weir is definitely my favorite SGA character, but she was not my favorite the first time around. I think that my first time around, God, I have to remember a long time ago for this. My first time around, I think that Rodney was my favorite character because I was in high school and I was really interested in physics and engineering. Naturally, I felt like, oh my God, this guy is so cool. Having watched it a few times, I think that Weir sticks out to me as a very good Don S. Davis character in SGA. One thing I didn't like about Landry was that his style of authority in SG1 was much different than Hammond, and where Hammond kind of was more of like a fatherly figure that guided SG1 towards the conclusion he wanted them to reach, Landry was much more do what I want. And I think that Weir kind of emulated the Hammond character in SGA. Not just the fact that she was a leader, but her temperament. And, you know, John and Rodney, they get up to a whole bunch of things. I mean, Rodney's number of mistakes just, you know, he's out there blowing up solar systems, destroying planets, vaporizing entire alternate universes. So she definitely had that same, like, forgiving attitude that Hammond had. And that's why I like her so much. I'm so glad they had Daniel to bend this arc. Or not bend, bridge.
That's not it.
Then your address must be incorrect.
Not incorrect.
Incomplete.
What are you saying, Dr. Jackson?
It's an atypical address.
Atlantis.
Atlantis. I think we can go there.
Oh, you know, for like longtime SG1 fans, I have never met someone who's interested in SG1 who doesn't have the 5th race pretty high up on their list, if not the #1 episode of SG1. And like, for people who just got into the show, they probably didn't realize the significance of an 8 chevron address, but again, just like the beginning of the show, it was just so cool. And I really like how they didn't expect you, they didn't give a whole lot of exposition. Like, they pretty much said, we kind of think you're coming from SG1, and we already think you know how Stargates work.
Be there in about 10 minutes, sir.
Oh, Carson.
I break things like
This
this.
device has survived for millions of years intact. It will survive you.
I was very surprised when I learned that this accent wasn't real.
I think I feel something. It could be lunch related.
Shut up.
What did I do?
Could you imagine if he actually killed Colonel O'Neill in the first episode? Oh my god. I mean, it would have thrown people for one heck of a loop.
I told you I was the wrong person.
It doesn't matter now. Just do something.
Okay, Carson, concentrate on shutting that weapon down before it hurts someone.
That was different.
For me?
Not so much.
Not so much. Holy crap.
To imagine that he goes from that to controlling a whole city.
What say we cut to the part where you start talking real fast?
Where's it again? I've heard the ancients spiked up their entire city and left somewhere between 5 and 10 million years ago.
Flying city.
Yes.
Flying city.
Daniel has died multiple times.
Built Stargate. The point is, we know where they went.
Pegasus.
Yes.
I'm not the one who needs convincing.
Well, I'm convinced.
We need the ZPM to power the gate.
ZPM.
Oh, the 0-point module, General. The ancient power source that you recovered from Proclar Ashtanas.
Can I just say real quick, the writers took, and I am glad they took the chance, but the writers took an awful big chance putting Mckay in this role, because, like, I wanted to set him on fire multiple times when he was in SG-1. I hated his interactions with Carter and his just arrogant, snide, over-the-top attitude. I'm not saying that he's not arrogant, snide, and all that stuff in SGA, but his character was just so much more likable in SGA. They changed him, and most of it was just by making him, I think they focused more on the arrogance and less on the condescend. No, he was still pretty condescending. I don't know. Maybe he just really played off of Weir and Shepard and Taylor and Ronan very, very well. But he came off so much better in Stargate Atlantis than he did in Stargate SG-1. So kudos to whoever had the good sense to recognize that even though he was an unlikable character, he was the right character for this show.
That was a waste of a perfectly good explanation. The answer's no.
Like I said, he was my favorite character when I watched Stargate Atlantis originally, so I'm not dissing him. He's a very human character, even though he's got, many flaws.
You mean the drone? The weapon the ancients built to defend this outpost. You do have security clearance to be here.
Yeah, General O'Neill just gave it to me.
And you don't even know about the Stargate.
The what?
You think there are more of these Zed things in Atlantis?
Yes.
I know I'm pausing a whole bunch, but I just want to say some of this stuff. It's all going to come out over the course of me watching the show. I may even say it multiple times. One thing I've thought of that I really like, because I know a lot of people get pissed all the time about why did they never discover a ZPM making machine in Atlantis. My theory, and I'll go into much more detail about this, but my theory is, it's not like it actually happened. I would like to believe that maybe ZPMs actually took an incredible amount of time to build. Like maybe they took 100 years to make a single ZPM. We're talking about, a race of people that has been around for millions of years. So if it did, that would actually explain why maybe they also had such trouble with the Wraith. Because if ZPMs take a really, really long time to make, then when the Wraith come, you underestimate them. You throw, let's say they threw 50% of their most powerful ships at them and they get decimated, or because later on in the show we hear that they just kept sending them deeper and deeper into enemy territory. But whatever happened, they could have lost a whole bunch of ZPMs and just not had enough time to make more.
With the amount of power you'll need to make this trek, it'll be one way.
Yes, we know. And it is a risk that every one of my expedition members is willing to take.
Which is surprising for Mckay.
Come on, what are the odds of me having the same genes as these guys?
Dr. Weir, don't move.
The fact that they never found, an ancient home world, or, not home world, but, solar systems, entire planets covered in ancients, suggests that they were very antisocial. Ancient civilizations like Atlantis may have been rare.
General, we need him. I'm talking about Major Shepard. But John Shepard, he does it naturally.
I've checked into his record.
Disobeying a direct order in the process.
I have read your own file, General. Please.
Okay. It's your expedition.
At least once a season.
You ask him.
Okay, Sergeant, give it a try. ZPM should light up when it senses a conductive connection to the gate.
I've never looked into why Sam was not a part of the pilot. Colonel Sumner. His death was tragic but needed.
We are about to try to make a connection. We may only get the one chance at this. We're not going to risk shutting the gate down. Everything in one shot. And in light of the adventure we are about to embark on, you're also the bravest. We may never be able to return
come home.
I'd like to offer you all one last chance to withdraw your participation.
In reality, this should have been done privately because there's a lot of pressure here, but still, great television.
As long as you remember who's giving the orders.
That would be Dr. Weir, right?
So, another thing I want to say real quick was, for the past 8 seasons, Stargate took a very anti-civilian stance. The IOA, that's what they're called, International... I'm pretty sure it's the IOA. I'm going to kick myself if that's not it. Woolsey's people. They really made me hate the civilian part of SG-1. I don't know if Woolsey had been a part of SG-1 at this point yet. I'd have to refresh. But nonetheless, it was good. It was cool to see them actually step back into a more civilian role, away from the military. Obviously, there's still a huge military presence, but it was still really cool. I think one of the things that let them do that was the distance. The fact that, yes, it is civilian, but because they are cut off from Earth, you had less of that interaction with the kind of civilian government. But at the same point, you do see that in later seasons, where as travel back and forth between the Milky Way and Atlantis gets more pronounced, you do start to see more encroachment of that. Woolsey eventually becomes the leader of Atlantis. So I think the first couple of seasons where travel back and forth was really rare was a huge benefit to helping that civilian presence be stable. Had he survived, I think I would have grown to like him.
Chevron 6 encoded.
Where is Walter? Why was Walter not here?
No measurable toxins. We have viable life support. Looks like we're not getting out of this.
This episode always rings just a little hard for me, knowing that, you know, technically the first time they did this, they all got ganked.
We go through together.
Fair enough.
All clear, it looks good.
Oh, and the first time we see this SGA wormhole. I've seen a lot of comments and threads about why the wormhole and the hyperspace window are different in the Pegasus Galaxy. And I think it just comes down to because I loved the SGA gates, though. Don't get me wrong, the Stargate or SG1 gates were cool. Very, like, you know, ancient. But the SGA gates were on a whole other level. If I ever become an idle millionaire, I'm making a replica of this. I don't care. I want a replica of this entire room. They were setting them up as like the twin parents of the city from the very beginning. Oh, it's the gate ships.
They look like ships. Spaceships!
I have a lot of things to see. Just be careful.
I really want to buy a whole bunch of glass tablets and carve the chevron symbols into them and just make like a gate dialer that I can hang on my wall. I really want to do that. I need to take the time to do that at some point.
Colonel, Dr. Weir.
We're underwater.
Yes, I was just going to tell you. Fortunately, some sort of a force field holding back the water.
In the hope of spreading new life in a galaxy where there appeared to be none. In time, 1,000 worlds bore the fruit of life in this form. Never before had we encountered beings with powers that rivaled our own. The enemy fed upon the defenseless human worlds like a great scourge until finally only Atlantis remained. In an effort to save the last of our kind, we submerged our great city into the ocean.
You know, I don't know if it's ever been discussed, but the lifespan of an ancient. I doubt they just lived 100 years.
That if we don't stop everything we're doing right now, we are dead.
Just tell me the bottom line.
You're screwed.
The force field holding back the ocean has collapsed to its minimum sustainable levels.
You know, ironically, when you think about it, this has always bugged me about what they're saying here. I don't know why, but when you think about it, the round spherical shield would have less surface area than a collapsed shield, because when you conform to the shape of the city, you're creating more surface area, and the amount of pressure that the shield would be under in any given spot wouldn't be different if it was collapsed or if it was expanded into a bubble. So you would think that the shield would be more powerful in the shape of a bubble and not collapsed around the city. But again, we're talking about a fictional technology. Maybe the further away the shield is from the shield emitters, the more power it takes. Who the heck knows? I'm just saying.
All right, well, how much time do we have?
It's hard to say. Hours, maybe days if we minimize power expenditure.
That's not all. Look at this.
Wasting
like
power.
ours on the Earth
Wasting
game.
power.
Using power. Using power. Using power.
Assemble a team. We need safe harbor, or better still, another power source.
Chevron 1 encoded.
Oh, Rodney. I want that. I want to build that. I want it to be mine. I saw a YouTube video about a whole bunch of people who built their own Stargate, which is just so cool.
Let's move out!
Even their DHDs were a little bit cooler. Stargate Atlantis also took a much darker tone than Stargate SG-1 did. Not just dark in the sense of dark, although I think it was actually darker, but just like thematically. When people died, it tended to be more gruesome than in SG-1. SGA also did a lot more with bodily disfiguration than SG-1 did.
Dial Atlantis base and let the good doctor know we've made contact with the indigenous people. My problem, Lieutenant, is with his record. I don't like anybody who doesn't follow the proper chain of command.
I'll go into this more in the episode that Ford finally goes away, but I think that he was the wrong choice. Ronan was a better choice for the role.
It's hauling. I bring men from away.
Enter.
Well, then we'll just, we'll have to get to know each other. Me, I like Ferris wheels and college football. And...
Shepard's attitude, night and day, to Colonel O'Neill. God love O'Neill, he had a very superior attitude when it came to alien races, whereas Shepard was much more, we're all the same. That being said, Jackson and O'Neill will still forever be the funniest duo of SG-1, right next to O'Neill and Teal'c.
If the Wraith have never touched your world, you should go back there.
See, here's the thing, ma'am. We've got ourselves into a bit of a bind.
Our people have long believed that the Wraith will come if we venture into the old city.
They really had a habit for just stepping out of their homes and finding someone who wants to kill them. Goa'uld, Ori, Wraith.
What if the Wraith are the enemy the ancient hologram lady's talking about?
Stay here and find out what you can. Ford, you head back to the gate and report into where?
Well, guess it's just you and me.
Your leader looks through me as if I were not there.
Do I?
No.
Cat-like reflexes, really.
We stopped exploring.
Well, the damage was already done.
Even occupying this room is draining power.
We need to evacuate the moment Colonel Sumner reports back it's safe.
I believe this is where the survivors hid from the Wraith during the last great attack.
The Wraith would have been a freaky, scary enemy.
I lost this years ago. How did you...
It was just lying right over there.
For a first couple of seasons, they really set up a what they won't they with these two.
Many must date back thousands of years, or more. I believe it happens again and again. The Wraith allow our kind to grow in numbers, and when that number reaches a certain point, cull their human herd. The last great Holocaust was 5 generations ago.
I'm surprised they have kids. I don't think I'd want to. But then again, they have mostly agrarian societies where children would be an important part of your life.
Colonel, we have gate activity here.
And I mean, come on. You cannot compare the darts to gliders. The darts were just...
3 bandits headed your way.
What is it?
The Wraith.
Alright, and that was my reaction to the very first episode of Stargate Atlantis, The Rising Part 1. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Don't forget to like this video if you like it. Let me know down in the comments, like I said, do you want to see more of this? Is this something you would be interested in? Should I just stick to the movies and stay in my lane? And as always, the full version is in the description, but otherwise, thank you for coming.